Welcome to Small Biz Life, episode 15, Goal Setting. Does this sound familiar?
Oh my God, I have so much to do today.
Don't forget to breathe.
But I have almost 400 emails in my inbox and 30 phone calls to make.
Have you looked into getting a virtual assistant yet?
Oh, and I need to schedule all my social media posts.
Did you drink anything today?
I had coffee.
Did you eat today?
Did I mention coffee's a bean?
This is Small Biz Life.
Hi, I'm your co-host, Kristin Ingram.
And I'm Jeffrey W. Ingram.
We are small business owners that are helping you get through the weeds of small business.
Yes, and for all those who are confused to think this is a gardening show because we talk about weeding all the time, that is incorrect. This is actually a show about small business. However, if you are a gardener who does it for money, you still want to listen.
Exactly. So we're going to help you celebrate your strengths, commiserate on your weaknesses, and help you become a better business owner. One way that you can do that is you can join our Facebook community, our growing, thriving Facebook community, which you can get to at facebook.com/groups/smallbizlife.
Mm-hmm. It is a closed community, and that way we can hopefully keep out some of the spammers for a bit longer at least. However, we do welcome any input and community interaction, which has been buzzing this week.
Yeah, this week has been great because in episode 14, we talked about the SWOT analysis. And I had no idea how that episode would blow up the way it did.
I know, because that was really one you sort of picked because you from listening to all of the comments, like, people need to know how to do this. But for them to pretty much on their own listen to it and go, oh yes, we needed this. Thank you. That was amazing.
Yeah. So we got a lot of shares last week. We got a lot of shout outs on some periscopes that we listened to in groups that we're in. We got shout outs. So that was pretty awesome, because when you do these shows and you come up with an idea, you don't know if it's going to stick. And apparently that one stuck. So this week we're going to talk a little bit more about SWOT, and we're also going to talk about goal setting.
Yes.
And how you can use your SWOT to set your goals. But we're going to start off this episode like we start off every episode with what's in the news. So what do you got this week?
So I have another one which will apparently be unrelated. It is Yahoo keeps its Alibaba stake and spinning off the rest. It was an article I bumped into on wired.com. And essentially the idea of the article is Yahoo, which I'm pretty certain most people know who they are, used to be a dominant internet company. They were the Google of their time.
And remember a few weeks ago when we talked about email addresses, we talked about how if you have a Yahoo email address, people think that you are passé.
That's right.
Just like Yahoo.
Utterly unprofessional. But I think it's interesting just because we were talking about SWOT, that this article seemed a bit relevant to me because the idea is Yahoo, and if you've been following Yahoo, you know this, that they've been struggling with their identity ever since Google followed them up and sort of took over the space. And they've never really kind of recaptured it. And the idea that they have a stake in this, and I hate to call it that, but the Amazon from China, Alibaba, because they're really slightly different than Amazon. But the idea is that they find more profit there. That is their opportunity, not their core business. So to save the profitability of that investment, they're getting rid of their internet businesses, and probably not all of them, and they'll spin them off into smaller companies, but they're trying to protect the profit they're getting, which is their big opportunity, which is a stake in a different company.
That to me is just incredible.
Yeah.
Because essentially Yahoo is becoming a holding company.
Well, I mean, think about it. A couple of years ago, they gave their search up to Bing. So Bing is sort of the backbone of Yahoo search now, and they sort of incorporated the benefits of Yahoo search supposedly into their search engine, or decision engine as they were originally calling it. I don't think it's deciding for me, but yeah, no, I mean, and over time, they're closing down different parts of their service, and I'm sure they'll try and keep what's profitable and get rid of everything else.
Right. And Yahoo, they looked at their overall business plan. They looked at what was working and what wasn't working and decided to keep the portions of their business that were working.
And I think a way you can apply this too is oftentimes solopreneurs, internet solopreneurs get very distracted.
No.
We have, you start 500 businesses a year, besides the one that you think is going to be the one. But keep in mind with the amount of time and effort you put into things that it's not important that you get them all done right away. Most of the people out there who talk about this say build a $1 million business first and then start another one. But if you have 15, go over them, and figure out, do some of them make you some income? If they do, keep them, but you don't have to work on them. You can leave them as they are. If they're sustaining themselves, let them do that until you can put time in it so you can focus your time to really grow your primary business.
And as I'm doing like year-end reviews with clients, that's one thing that we're spending a lot of time focusing on is we're looking at where their revenue is coming from, where they're spending their time, and then trying to say, okay, where can we get the most revenue from the least amount of time? And you might have to shelf the other 499 businesses you have.
That's right. Treat it like that weird elf.
Yeah. Business on a shelf.
Business on a shelf, yes.
But you might have to put those balls down so that you can spend time with the one that's really generating your income.
And you might be shocked if you've kept good records that the one you think is the profitable one for the time you're putting into it might not be.
Right. Very true. Awesome. Nice way to circle that around, right? Has to do with the episode and everything.
And the elf on the shelf comment and everything. Wow. Who knew I could get that in? I'm just glad there's not one in the room right now.
Yeah, no. Okay, my article this week is an update from the IRS.
Sorry.
And I shared this in the group earlier this week. The IRS has announced the mileage rate for 2016, and the mileage rate is actually going down. So just as gas prices have been falling, gas prices are down about $1 per gallon since last year at this time. The IRS mileage rate has also decreased. So the 2015 mileage rate, the one that you're going to be using on your upcoming taxes, is 57.5 cents per mile. The 2016 mileage rate is 54 cents per mile, and that's for business mileage only.
So 3.5 cents down. But then again, gas prices have come down a lot.
Right.
Especially around here.
You figure if you have a car that gets about 30 miles per gallon, then, your rate's dropping, a little over $1. Gas prices are down $1, which is the more fuel efficient your vehicle is, the better it is for your mileage rate. We've got to make sure that you look at, total cost of the vehicle. And
you got to look at all of your trips and make sure that you are counting all of the ones that are for business.
Right. So I'm sticking the app of the week in here. We've talked about this app before, but Mile IQ is a phenomenal app to make sure that you never miss a trip again. Mile IQ is an app for your phone. As long as you have your phone in your car, it will track every trip that you drive. And the nice thing with it is that every time the car stops, that trip stops. So if you do some personal things while you're out doing business stuff, you can actually categorize those parts as personal and still capture the business mileage.
I just can't believe that that a Waze or Google Maps or one of the GPSs out there wouldn't incorporate it, because it would help guarantee that you're using their app, and they make money off of that somehow, probably not data wise, but somehow they're making money off of that. So.
Well, Waze sells ads. So when you're stopped at a light.
Waze sells ads as well, but I'm pretty sure they're selling data too.
And one thing I'd like you to do while you're listening to this episode, I want you to pick up your phone and I want you to open up your calendar, whatever calendar you use on your phone, And I want you to put in a reoccurring item in your calendar for 1/1/2016 and to recur every year after that to go get your odometer reading on January 1st. This is a great way, this is something that the IRS requires that we do. And a lot of, I always forget to do this until I put the reminder in my phone. Okay. And then what I'll do January 1st, when that reminder pops up and tells me to go get that mileage reading, I will actually put the odometer reading in the notes for that calendar item. So then when I need to find it at tax time, I can just do a search for odometer.
It's January 1st.
Yep. Poof. And it's easy to find.
Good idea.
So your IRS mileage rate for 2016 is 54
So they don't want
cents.
your mileage rate to exceed the miles you've driven in a year? The miles
Right.
you're claiming?
Yeah. That's kind of one of the checks that they use. And I have seen that happen before. People have tried to take such excessive mileage. Then I'm like, okay, your car is 5 years old, and based on the mileage you took, your car should have 500,000 miles on it. No. So that's kind of, it's a check and balance. And it's a good check and balance for you too. Okay, so that was what's in the news. We will put links to both of those articles in this week's show notes.
Excellent.
Huzzah.
Huzzah.
So
I'm in a very deep voice mood today.
well, I'm standing today, so I think I have much more energy today than normal. So we'll see.
That's what the big guns say when podcasting.
Yep, record standing. So we're seeing how that works. Okay, goal setting. So we are almost to the end of the year. We've got about a week and a half until the year ends. And if you have not listened to episode 14 on the SWOT analysis, stop right now. Go get that episode.
Yes.
Listen to that first. That is required listening. That is the prerequisite to episode 15. If we had a syllabus for this episode, we would require you to stop and do the prerequisite first.
And if you're a naughty person who does not do what they're told just because they're told to do it, at least take the time to Google it first.
Okay, yes. So we are going to spend a couple minutes recapping SWOT. We invited people to work on their SWOT analysis this week in the Facebook group. Again, facebook.com/groups/smallbizlife, and smallbizlife is one word. If you want to join the community, you can still jump in on that. But SWOT, it's not about beating people. I know I've been to the mall and I've wanted to SWAT a few people in the lines at the mall, but that's not what we're talking about.
Or calling the cops to go to their house by swatting them. That would be a wrong approach to this.
Yes, that would be a wrong use of SWOT. SWOT is it's an old business analysis tool that stands for strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. Strengths and weaknesses are internal to your business. Opportunities and threats are external. I want to talk a little bit more about opportunities and threats this week before we dive into goal setting, because the one thing I noticed from the group is that this is something that people really struggled with.
Yeah.
So when you think about opportunities, what do you think of?
When I think of opportunities, I think of ways I can either move my business next or big sort of ticket items I can do to improve my business operations.
When I shared mine with the group, my opportunities were, there are 23.5 million Schedule C filers, right? Schedule C's are sole proprietorships. So even if I got 5% of that market to listen to this podcast, that is over 1 million listeners an episode. 5% of the small business owners, right? So the opportunity there's a huge market of small business owners, right? That's my opportunity. Another opportunity is that small business owners in general want to learn new things, right? They want to learn how to run their businesses better. And unfortunately, most CPAs are just all about filing forms.
Yeah.
Right? So they're not getting the knowledge that they want from their most trusted advisor. So that's another opportunity for us. And then the last one is that in In 2015, analysts are expecting that people are going to spend over $50 billion on online education.
Wow. 50 billion?
50 billion on online education. And more businesses are turning to online education because it's cheaper than going out to a seminar for the day, right? And taking all your people. And so there's a huge opportunity there to increase online learning.
Yeah, I could definitely say, I mean, we've done several over the past few years for the same reason. If you take your time and you pick the people well who are teaching you this material, there's a lot of great material out there. It's amazing what you can learn,
So that's the thing. So for opportunities, like I want you to think big. How big is your market segment? We talk a lot about knowing who your ideal customer is. How many of them are there? That's
right. And how many is in the market surrounding them too, who aren't maybe your ideal customer, but are potential areas of growth. Let's say you have a very tight niche, like your niche are males who like Austrian economics and fantasy world building. If that's your niche and you have a good segment of those down, but your revenue is not to where you need it to be yet, who is close to them in that market? Possibly it's Chicago School of Economics people. It's hard to say, but your market better than I do. So if that's your market, find where's the natural growth going to be to.
Is there really more than one Austrian economics following world builder? I think there might only be one.
I said who likes fantasy world building.
Okay, who likes fantasy world building.
Or maybe I didn't, because this is recorded. I have no idea what I said. That was minutes ago.
Okay, that would be a really small niche.
Maybe. I mean, if there is only one, I really don't know.
Okay, so, so opportunities, I want you to think big. I think the problem that a lot of people have is that they're so overwhelmed in the minutia of their business that they don't allow themselves to think bigger.
They don't see the forest for the trees, as the cliche goes.
That's right. As you're kind of going through this process, if you haven't done the SWOT analysis yet and you're getting ready to set your goals, grab your laptop or your tablet and go somewhere quiet. If you're a morning person, get up early. If you're a night person, stay up late. Get some quiet time, and do some research. What's the size of your target market? How are their behaviors changing in a way that would benefit your business?
And if you have trouble finding quiet time, realize that is actually a weakness and not a threat to your company.
Right. Yes. Because that would be internal, right? Strengths and weaknesses are internal. And so, if you can't find that space to think, that's a weakness. Because we all need that, right? We all need some time to kind of ground ourselves and get centered. And maybe it's the quiet time you need to plan for the day before the day starts, to put your to-do list together, to figure out what's important for you to do that day.
And a good thing to not do are other things. You don't do your planning for the day on Facebook. You're not playing games on your phone or talking to your spouse or reading the newspaper, because those are all distractions. Part of quiet isn't just the sound. It is the noise in general.
And opportunities are not a to-do list.
That'd be awesome, though. Check. Increase sales today. Awesome.
And that's one thing, as I've worked with people on this opportunities list, a lot of people have put down a checklist of things they need to do. And I'm like, no, that's not what this is. No. This is not a to-do list, right? These are big dreams, big goals, the big opportunities that you see, and you may not hit them this year, but you know what? Maybe you hit a piece of it, right? And you grow your business with a piece of that opportunity.
And you learn something about how you get there, and you ask yourself why you didn't. And it's never a failure to not reach a goal. It is simply you did not make it. If you make your goals every year, your goals are too small.
That's right. In the same vein, when you talk about threats to your business, these are external threats that could cause catastrophic decline in your business. This could be things This could be something as simple as, I work from home, I have a busy season, and we have a power outage. Right? So a lot of my online retailers are really, really busy right now. They're trying to fulfill orders. What happens if you have a power outage or an internet outage?
Yeah.
On the busiest week of your year.
Or there's a rainstorm on April 15th and you switch to DSL because it's cheaper. And now you don't have the way to submit electronic returns. That's bad.
Yeah. Can I just say, so threats I've had in the history of my tax firm. 1 year on April 14th, our internet went out. 1 year, the week before the tax deadline, my back went out. We've had like family issues pop up.
There was flooding across the state of Connecticut 1 year.
We had flooding 1 year. Those were all threats to my business. So you know what I do now? I finish tax season a week early. So that way, so my tax deadline is not April 15th. My tax deadline is April 10th. So, think about threats. If you have an online business, it could be, it could be internet going out for an extended period of time or power going out for an extended period of time. A lot of CPAs are actually starting to look at the threat of if they get sick, what happens to their solo practice. And CPAs are actually starting to form partnerships with each other so that, hey, if something happens to me, you can pick up this work that needs to get done.
Yes.
If you're working in any sort of retail product sale business, what would delays do if your inventory was delayed?
Think of this time of the year and look at some big businesses that have time essential businesses, your transportation industry. If there's bad weather or UPS or FedEx is having a bad year delivering packages on time, look what happens to their stock. There's a reason, because this is when they make their money. And not that they don't make money the rest of the year, but this is when they become profitable, just like most of the retail companies.
Well, it's interesting because, I've been looking at articles that UPS and FedEx are having trouble keeping up with the demand. And then yesterday I heard a news story that Amazon is looking to lease 20 planes from Boeing.
They're looking to lease 20 planes from Boeing. A couple of years ago, they've started piloting local deliveries in certain areas. So they're going to try and maximize the potential that their packages get there on time. And now you don't have the reach in the pocketbooks of Amazon, but what are your backup plans in case you have a time-sensitive delivery that needs to happen?
So Amazon looked at the threats, right, of the external threats of its partners not being able to deliver its packages on time.
And this is 2 years in a row where the transportation industry has really underestimated peak season. But the problem is they're not the only ones who suffer there. Sure, you're mad at UPS, but you're also mad at the company who's supposed to get you your Christmas present on time.
Think about threats to your business, right? What could derail your business? And just get that list down, okay? Because we're going to talk about how to use those items in your goal setting. Once you have your SWOT analysis completed, I want you to start thinking about goal setting. Okay. And there's so many people talking about goal setting right now. And you're probably going, oh, why am I listening to your podcast? Because everybody's talking about this. I've already heard this before. We're going to take a little bit of a different spin on goal setting.
A different spin?
A different spin. If you're not listening to the 9,000 podcasts on goal setting that have come out so far this season, most people are talking about what are called SMART goals.
Which is a very good thing to work on. Yes.
Right. So it's not just, okay, my goals are wicked smart. They have a high IQ. Okay. This is
in the packed car.
That's right. I packed my car and I made my SMART goals. Okay. That's not what this is. So can you tell us, what does SMART stand for?
Specific, measurable, action-orientated, realistic, and time-specific.
You want to make sure that when you set your goals, that your goal is really specific. Can you think of an idea? Can you think of a goal that you've seen that you're like, wow, that's not very specific?
I need more followers.
Exactly. That is not specific.
And that's probably the sample of, and when I say this is the worst kind of goal, I'm not saying it because it's necessarily a bad thing to keep in mind. But when I say there is, I need more followers, where? follow me around my house, following me in my email, on social media. I mean, in that goal, I don't even say where I need to attract more people from. Maybe I want to start a store. Maybe it is on the internet, probably for us. And usually we're talking about internet-based businesses usually. But the thing is, your goal has to explain at least something as simple as where you're trying to do something at.
One of the goals that drives me crazy is like, my goal for 2016 is I'm going to grow my business.
Which is, that's the exact same one, but that's about revenue outside of social media following, which is usually what people mean when they talk about followers.
Well, and the thing is too, is like, okay, you want to grow your business. Do you want to grow your revenue? Are you growing your expenses? Are you growing like the size of your building? Are you growing the number of employees you have? What is growing? Mm-hmm. Specific and measurable work really well together. Right? Because there has to be, and I know you don't like mathing. Okay. I know a lot of you, I get complaints about the mathing. You must have a number in your goal. Mm-hmm. Every goal should have a number. Mm-hmm. That number should either be the amount you want your revenue to grow, the number of people you want on your email list, the frequency that you are going to do something. Every goal must contain a number. And I would also piggyback that by saying every goal should also have a date. Mm-hmm. Okay, so you need a quantity and a date in every goal you make.
Yes, and a lot of people will make their goals for the year, and that's great. My suggestion is if you have a goal for the year, break it down in at least quarters. Because the idea is, what happens, you get to the fourth quarter and you're like, okay, so out of the 10,000 Twitter followers I'm supposed to have, I've lost 10. Oh, I probably should start doing that now. And then I get in a rush to do that. Plus all of the other goals I've created for myself, which I had the end date of January 1st of the next year. And so now I've made no progress towards my goals because I get caught up on my to-do list. And I'm doing all of these things, which are nice things to get done, but they don't push me towards the goal of having the kind of business I want.
It's so frustrating when you set all your goals for December 31st, right? That I'm going to do all these things by December 31st. And then you go, oh crap, it's Thanksgiving. I haven't met my goals. Okay, I'm going to work on my goals. Oh my God, I need to send out Christmas cards and I need to buy presents and I need to put up the tree and we have 14 parties to go to and I haven't hit any of my goals. So I got to work on those. Mm-hmm. And you just increase your holiday stress.
And now, not only do you not get to your goals, you also don't start really working towards them at this point because the year's almost over.
I think what happens is I think a lot of small business owners, if they fail the first time they set goals, they never do it again.
And here's one of my big pet peeves for goals. Goals have to be flexible. An opportunity might arise that wasn't there a month before. That might make you change your goals. You might go gangbusters and hit a goal in the first quarter you thought was going to take you all year. Put something else there. There's another thing on top of goals, vision, and I know Jamie Tardy talks about this a lot and a lot of people do. And you really need this. Where do you want to be in 20 years? Because the same way your, action items of the week will get you to your, goals for the year, your goals will ultimately get you to where you want to be in 20 years. And for that could change. For whatever reason, those things change as well too. But, everything needs to have a synergy to it. Oh, wow. I use synergy today.
Oh, I might have to cut that out. You use the word synergy. Oh, God, help us.
But, and that's the thing to think about it. And really, your to-do list needs to feed your goals, which feeds your vision.
Right.
And if your vision changes, or if you get ahead of your goals, that doesn't mean you've achieved it. The same way, not reaching your goal doesn't mean you failed it. It just means that for whatever reason, you did not get to where you thought you could.
Right. And I think, I kind of have a bit of an issue with realistic because.
Let me step in. This is one people screw up all the time. they say realistic. And trust me, I'm the worst person for this. It's very easy for me to judge all of you, but I'm horrible with this. Kristin's like, so how many books do you think you're going to sell the first year? And I'm thinking, maybe 200 would be good.
I think my goal was like 10,000.
And your goal was 10,000. And on a realistic scale, are either of those achievable? Well, hopefully the 200 in a year is achievable, but the 10,000 isn't a stretch. And it might not be realistic, especially since it's my first book. But the thing is, I don't have a baseline to judge it on. And so until you start getting baselines, you can't set good realistic goals. But you need to shoot for something. That's where knowing your market segment is important. If you have, 10,000 possible sales a year and your goal is to increase your sales by 10,000, that is not a realistic goal. But saying I want a 90% increase, if you have no baseline to judge it off of, make that goal because it will push you, make it scary. It always should be scary.
Right.
Like 200 book sales is not scary. 10,000 is a scary number. And it might be right or it might be wrong. But until you have a baseline and a way to judge yourself, to measure yourself going forward, make big goals. Realistic does not mean, it just means that it needs to be achievable. And you have to understand the difference between probability and possible.
Right.
And so you start off with what's possible, and probability is somewhere under that.
One of the goals that I had set last year, and I thought this was like a crazy audacious goal. Mm-hmm. I wanted 100,000 views in 2015 on my YouTube channel.
Yeah.
When I set this goal, I was at 75,000 views in 2.5 years. Mm-hmm. Okay. So I was looking at my numbers earlier this month. I have crossed over 200,000 total views on my channel, which means I hit over 125,000 views in 1 year. Mm-hmm. And I was like, that's crazy. Mm-hmm. But see, I had, right? Like you said, I had no baseline.
No.
Right. And the channel has grown so much in the last year.
It gets very tough to judge those sorts of behaviors because there's a lot of mechanisms behind the scenes that might not be easy to understand. One, the kind of content you offer on that channel is evergreen. Mm-hmm. It's largely ageless. It's always valid. And, YouTube does reward people. The more views you get, the more likely people are to find you, which gives you more views, and it can build on itself. Where in other mediums, it doesn't work that way. Like I could have 50,000 retweets yesterday and get crickets today.
Right. And it's funny because the way that I set goals now, I would not make that same goal this year. Mm-hmm. Because you don't have a ton of control over how many people view.
Yeah.
Your goal should be action oriented, which means what can you do to influence that growth, but not the growth itself.
Well, it's like one of my goals, and this is from a learning experience standpoint, was to get to 10,000 Twitter followers because that was very important to me. And I think by March, I was kind of like, that's a stupid goal. It really is. One, because this kind of goes back to the whole discussion of opportunities. It's not really the goal. Who cares how many people don't listen? I could go pay someone probably $100 and get 10,000 Twitter followers really easy.
Right.
That would have been an easy goal to reach. But the thing is, I want an engaged audience, and whether it's on this or on my other show or whatever I'm doing, I'd rather have 500 passionate people who I'm interacting with than 100,000 people who completely ignore me.
Right. Exactly. So, and that's the thing. It's like, I think both of us, our goals evolved a lot from when we made them in January.
But it's because we made them.
Right.
So we get, and sometimes it doesn't take you very long. You go, what was I thinking? And because like you said, that's, at the last year, you figure I started my Twitter channel briefly, I think in December of almost 365 days ago.
Yeah.
I created that Twitter account. And because I was starting my new podcast, I needed Twitter because you need Twitter. And that's what everyone says, you need Twitter, which happened to work out because there are lots of authors on Twitter, which is my primary avatar for my other show. I had got 500 followers pretty quickly. And then I got up to about 1,000 pretty quickly, and probably by March. And then I stopped. And I haven't checked recently, but last I checked, it was a little over 1,500. But, the difference is I've stopped following everyone back who follows me to ensure that they don't stop following me. If they don't follow me because they want to follow me, I don't care if they follow me.
Right. I want you to, as you're sitting there and you're thinking about your goals, I want you to think about things that are specific, measurable, right? So you need to have a number.
Yeah.
Action-oriented, which means that don't think of goals as, I am going to increase my revenue by X amount, right? I'd rather you make goals that are the how you are going to do that. You want your goals to be realistic, but I want you to stretch. If you're currently at 1,000 Twitter followers and you want to have 1 million Twitter followers, that might be a stretch. Okay.
Unless you have a big budget to buy them.
Right. Unless you have a budget to buy them, right? That is a humongous stretch. So I want them to be realistic, but I want them to be hard. Because even if you hit 75% of your goal, that's still a huge accomplishment. And finally, your goals need to be time specific, which means that you want to set a date. Don't set them all to be December 31st, or else you're just going to cause yourself a headache at the end of the year. Even if you want to set a date towards the end of the year, set it, say like October 31st, right before the holidays begin, or November 15th. But have them spread out throughout the year so that you are creating wins throughout the year. And if you don't hit your goal by the specified date, you still have a year left.
Or one of the things that we would do at UPS is all of the goals would be set, for the year specifically. But then you would actually have a plan every month on how to get there.
In our next episode, which will technically be episode 16, but it's kind of more like episode 15B or 15 part 2, we are going to talk about how to use how and why to create better goals. Sound good?
Oh, you're asking me? Yeah, sounds great.
Okay, so that is going to be, episode 16 is going to be part 2 of this episode. If you're doing any last minute holiday shopping and you'd like to support the show, Amazon has 2-day free shipping for all of its Prime members. So if you go to smallbizlife.com/Amazon and you do your shopping through there, Amazon gives us a nice little percentage of your purchase. It costs you absolutely nothing, but you help support the show. You can also go to Small Biz Life and click on the resources page. And there are a ton of great last minute gifts that you can buy for small business owners. We've got book recommendations. We've got things like Nosby. You can get somebody a gift card for Peapod to get some groceries delivered.
I was going to say, wouldn't that be wonderful? You just had groceries delivered for Christmas.
Oh, that's awesome.
Or like if you get back from vacation right after Christmas, the groceries just magically show up the next day.
Yeah, we did that for Thanksgiving.
Awesome.
When we went away for Thanksgiving, we set it up so we had groceries delivered the day after we got back.
Yeah, and it was awesome.
Oh my God, it was so great. Groceries just arrived at the door. It was so cool.
I know the delivery guy was a little wigged out when I hugged him, but I was very excited because we had no food.
So would love to have you check out the resource page, join the Facebook community, and we will see you next time for episode 16, the hows and whys of goal setting. Thank you for listening to Small Biz Life. If you enjoyed the show, please take a few minutes to rate and review the show on iTunes or Stitcher. Please visit smallbizlife.com to view today's show notes, take this week's poll, join the Facebook community, follow us on Twitter, or submit a question for the mailbag. Support the show by checking the resources page or by going to smallbizlife.com/Amazon whenever you shop.
This was Small Biz Life. This was Small Biz Life.